Good morning, everyone. I'm not entirely sure whether it's working yet or not. My IT man's looking worried in the background, but I'm going to start to talk just in case. Oh, right. Okay. Um, we just weren't sure if it was quite working yet or not, but that seems to be away now. Um, Good morning again. Hope there are a few of you joining the class again this morning. So last week we started doing a few different things. We did a 6-week session of sort of building up with some postures, and we've now moved on to some new postures. So we're going to be working with those again this morning. Quite good feedback from some of you last week that it was nice to have a bit of a change, and so we will carry on with that this morning. Just give me 1 second. Okay, right, so we're going to start with our warm-up that we've been doing, our awareness of different parts of the body. So standing with feet hip width apart, make sure your feet are in line, remember. Look down at the feet. Think first of all about your heels. So I want you to be able to feel the pad of the heel all the way around. Sort of think of 4 corners of the heel pad and try and just imagine that you're where they all are, and make sure you can feel the mat under your heels first of all. So awareness of the heels. Lift up the toes, and then I want you to think about the balls of your feet touching the floor. So again, think about that pad of the ball and sort of work out 4 corners, and again see if you can just feel each of the corners beneath your feet. When you're ready, start to place the toes down. So try and place the toes 1 toe at a time, spread them out, and then feel the pads of the toes on the mat. Don't cling onto the mat, so you're not crunching up your toes, you're just laying them nice and gently on the mat. So I want you to close your eyes for a minute, and I just want you to think about your feet. So I want you to think about feeling the heel, the ball of the foot, and each of the pads of the toes sitting on the mat. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, draw the air down into the abdomen. Feel the abdomen extend. And a nice, slow, long exhale. Okay, so just opening the eyes again. We're going to think now about the legs. So maintain that contact with the floor. Always be aware of your feet on the floor where they are on the mat. And then think about lifting up through the legs. So really try and lengthen, especially through the tops of the legs, the thighs, the hamstrings, without forcing the knees back. So really nice length through the legs. Coming up to the hips, just be aware of the glutes. So just engage the glutes slightly, just get a feel of where they are. You're going to use them quite a lot. Core muscles, abdominal muscles up through the obliques. So lengthen up the sides of the body, lengthen through the spine. Be aware of the spine drawing up from the tailbone all the way up to the neck. Take the shoulders up and take the shoulders back and down. So just awareness of the shoulders. So we're just going to warm up the shoulder joints a little bit and just get them moving this morning. So on the inhale, I want you to draw the shoulders forward and up. And as you exhale, push them all the way back and down. So it's nice and slow. Keep the breath nice and slow. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. So as you exhale, remember you're trying to push the shoulder blades as if you're trying to touch the shoulder blades together across your back. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. And again, inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. And once more, inhale, forward. Exhale, back and down. Okay, so now we're going to change the direction. So as you inhale, think about pushing the shoulder blades again as if you're trying to touch them together across your back, and then lift the shoulders up. As you exhale, draw the shoulders forward and down. So again, inhale, back and up. Exhale, forward and down. Work with the breath. Inhale and exhale, forward. And release. And then I just want you to lift the shoulders up towards the ears. Just let them drop a few times. So you're starting to feel nice and loose. You've loosened the shoulders off, warmed up the joints slightly. Okay, so we're going to move on to the hands and the arms. So remember for that, we're going to inhale, take the arms halfway. As you exhale, really stretch out the fingers and stretch the palms of the hands. Inhale, the hands come all the way above the head, and you touch each of the pads of the fingers to each other. Exhale, arms halfway. Inhale, stretching. Exhale, lowering. Okay, so you should all know this now. Inhale, lift. Exhale, stretch. Inhale above the head. Exhale, coming back down. Inhale, stretching. Exhale, releasing. So just work with the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. And again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale back to the side. And again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Release. And again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Release. And if you can, once more. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, stretching as far as you can with those arms and the hands. Inhale above the head. Try and get those fingertips together. Exhale, lowering. Inhale, stretching again. And exhale. So you start to find that the shoulders and the arms are warming up. Still got awareness through the legs and the feet all the way up along the spine. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next little bit of work we've been doing with, remember, the beach ball above the head, coming into gentle forward bend. So nice bend in the knees as you forward bend, as you do your forwards bends in this one, and then coming halfway up into that nice flat position where the upper body is parallel to the floor, and you really want to try and extend the upper body and have a nice straight line. Okay, so for this, if you can, coming into the Tadasana starting position. So for that, your toes are just touched, your big toes are touching, your heels are slightly apart. Okay, remember, if that's not comfortable, you just have the, I'll turn this way just so that the mic's in the right place. You have your feet hip width apart. If you get any balance issues or you're just not comfortable in that position, that's fine. Lifting up through the legs. Okay, so from there on the inhale, I'm going to take the arms out and up. And you're really going to arch back if you can and look up. Arms nice and wide. Think about that beach ball. So it's a nice light beach ball. So you're not pushing it up with the arms, you're really trying to hold on. It's nice and light. As we exhale, we're going to bend the knees, bend at the hips, bring the upper body all the way down. Hands come beside the feet. Nice deep bend in the knees. Inhale, lifting all the way up, nice and gently, arms above the head, look up. Exhale, folding forward, nice and slowly with the breath. Inhale, lifting all the way up, arms above the head. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, all the way up, arms above the head. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, all the way up, arms above the head. Exhale, folding forward. And again, if you can, inhale, all the way up, arms above the head. Exhale, folding forward. So this time we're going to come to the halfway position. So remember, straighten the legs, run the hands up the legs, and then really lengthen the spine. So you want your upper body parallel to the floor. You should be looking to the mat to keep the neck in line with the spine. You've got that nice, long, straight line with the body. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway. Lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway and lengthen. So really lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold. This time, the inhale, we're going to come all the way up to the beach ball. Looking up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale to the beach ball. Exhale, folding forward. And again, inhaling to the beach ball. Exhale, folding forward. This time we're going to come halfway in the inhale. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, fold. And finally, inhale all the way up to the beach ball. And exhale, release. Great. So we're starting to get a little bit warmed up. We're going to move on to our sun salutes now. Surya Namaskar, the traditional warm up for yoga. And again, remember, I can't judge how you're feeling this morning. Can't see you, you can't tell me, so it's up to you to know how many rounds you feel comfortable doing this morning. We're going to start off with the modified positions, and remember, if for any reason that those positions suit you better, then you just stay with them for the next 2 rounds. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the full positions. Okay, so from Tadasana, awareness through the feet onto the mat, lift through the legs, soften the knees, nice long spine. Keep looking directly ahead. Inhale, take the arms out and up. So nice gentle round the first round. Exhale, bend the knees, chest the thighs, relax the head and neck, hands are beside your feet. Step that right foot back, lower the knee, flatten the foot so you're in a gentle lunge. Take the left foot back so we're on all fours. And nice and slowly draw the body forward, lower to the floor, forearms down, inhaling into Sphinx. From there, hips to heel, forehead to the mat. Extended child's pose. Going back up onto all fours, step that right foot forward so you're back in the lunge. Follow with the left foot, back in your forward bend. Deep bend in the knees, push up through the legs. The arms off the head. And release. Exactly the same. Lead with the left leg. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, deep forward bend. Left foot back into the lunge. Right leg back, you're on all fours. Nice and slowly draw the body forward. Lower to the floor. Forearms down. Inhale into Sphinx. From there, hips to heels, forehead to the mat. Extended child's pose. And coming back up onto all fours, step the left foot forward, back in your lunge. Follow with the right. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing. And exhale, release. Okay, so that's your modified position. Stick with them if you need to this morning. Otherwise, we're moving on to the full position. So again, starting in Tadasana, make sure you can feel the mat beneath the feet, the toes, the heel, the ball of the foot. Lift through the legs, nice long spine. Inhale, arms up. This time, if you can, look up, really arch back. So don't just drop the head, look up as you arch back. We're going to fold forward from the hips, straight back, straight legs, and then lower into the forward bend. Hands beside the feet. Right foot back into the lunge. This time you're going to push forward with the hips and look ahead. Tuck the toes, take a plank, nice long line with the body. And then knees, chin and chest towards the mat. If you can't, draw the body forward. This time coming into Cobra, stay with Sphinx if you prefer. From there, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Down facing dog. Remember that inverted V shape with the body. Step the right foot forward, come back into your lunge. Lift the arms and look up. Palms together, lower. Draw the body forward, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Release the hands, step the left foot forward. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing, looking up. And exhale, release. Okay, so we're going to lead with the left leg this time. Inhale, look up. Exhale into the forward bend. The left foot back. Push through with the hips. Up the toes, take a plank. Knees, chin and chest towards the mat. Draw the body forward, coming either into Cobra or Sphinx. Up the toes, lift the hips. Down facing dog. Left foot forward into the lunge. Lifting the arms, look up. Palms together, lowering. Draw the body forward. Right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Release the hands. Step the right foot forward. Inhaling, coming all the way up, looking up. And exhale, release. We're going to do another round. Remember, if you feel that's enough for you, you just stop. Otherwise, inhaling, looking up. Exhale, forward bend. Right foot back into the lunge. Push through with hips. Up the toes, take a plank. Knees, chin and chest, coming into Cobra or Sphinx. Up the toes, lift the hips, down facing dog. Right foot forward into the lunge, lifting the arms, look up. Palms together, lowering. Draw the body forward, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Release the hands, step the left foot forward. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, looking up. And exhale, release. You're leading with the left. Inhale, looking up. Exhale into the forward bend. Left foot back, push through with the hips. At the toes, take a plank. Knees, chin and chest towards the mat, draw the body forward, coming into Cobra or Sphinx. At the toes, lift the hips, down facing dog. Left foot forward, back into the lunge. Lift the arms, look up. Palms together, lowering. Draw the body forward. Right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Release the hands. Step the right foot forward. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing, looking up. And exhale, release. Okay, so you should be nicely warmed up now. Remember your sun salutes, work all the joints, most of the major muscle groups. It's a really good way to get yourself warmed up for whatever activities you do. Okay, so balance. So remember last week, we'd moved on to from tree to Natarajasana, Bali position. If tree suits you, again, like last week, you can stay with that one if you want, if you feel you're not comfortable with Bali pose, although there are options. You don't have to be able to do the full position. There's lots of different options. And for those of you who like to have your hand against the wall, this is actually quite a nice one. So we're going to warm up together again. So get your weight coming down into your standing foot first of all. Remember, keep the knee nice and soft if that's standing foot. And remember, awareness of the foot on the mat. So you're not hanging onto the mat with your toes. As we did at the beginning, try and spread the toes, keep them nice and gentle, but you should be able to feel the heel of all of the foot and each of the pads of the toes on the mat. So from there, you're just going to lift your other foot up, bend the knee, and lift the heel up towards the hips. Now, for some of you, that will be as far as you're going to go this morning. And you can always have your hand on the wall if needs be. Those of you who can hold on to the foot, then hold on to the foot, start the lifted foot with your hand. And we're just going to hold and breathe for a few breaths. Just get a feel of how your balance is feeling this morning. Remember, you want to pick that focal point, something that's not going to move. So maybe a position on the wall or the floor, something that's just going to stay, and just keep the gaze centered the whole time. Think about engaging your core muscles. So draw in those abs, the glutes, create stability for your balance. And just hold and breathe if you can. Remember, you just put the foot back to the floor if at any point you need to. Try and keep the knee coming back. So try not let the knee come forward. Try and keep the knees in line even just now, and just bringing that foot as close to the hip as you can. And remember, if you can't hold on to the foot, that's fine. You just lift it off the mat. For those of you who are really struggling, you can have it really close to the floor and you can just lift and lower. So lots of options. Okay, just release the foot. We're going to move to the opposite side. So again, make sure the weight's coming down nice and firmly into the standing foot, knees nice and soft. Pick your focal point. When you're ready, lift that other foot off the floor. So again, you might just want to lift the foot off the floor, and that's as far as you want to go. You might want to have your fingers just touching the wall, whatever suits. If you can, hold on to the lifted leg with your foot with your hand, then you can do that now. And you can just think about lifting the heel up towards the hip. So rather than bring the knee forward, keep the knee back just now and lift the foot towards the hips. Again, we're just going to hold and breathe, get a feel for your balance on this side. Keep breathing nice and deeply. And release. Okay, so we're going to go back to the first side. So remember with your balance, I know you're all doing it at different rates, different levels. So I can't see when you need to come out and when you've come out and you've finished. So remember with any posture work, if you feel you've done enough of that particular posture, always just come back to Tadasana, your standing pose, mountain pose, and just work with the breath for a few moments until we all catch up again. So don't feel pressured to keep going if you can't. You just do what you can. Okay, so again, weight coming down into that standing foot. Okay, so just going to do this one slightly different. We're not going to hold on to the foot, even for those of you who can, just to give everybody a chance of doing this next little bit of work. So I just want you to lift the foot off the floor. I'm just going to move slightly away from the wall. Take your hands out to the side. So this is good to help with your balance. If you're struggling with balance, this helps just taking the arms out to either side. So for those of you who are struggling, just work with this. And from there, you can start to think about lifting that knee up. So from the knees being beside each other, think about taking the knee back and up without dropping the chest forward. So you get a stretch through the hip. So for some of you, this will be quite a good position, because if you can't hold on to the foot, but you feel you can lift it a little bit, or you've got problems with your balance and you think, actually, with my arms out here, it's easier, then you can just do that. So we're just going to hold and breathe in this position for a few breaths. And release. Okay, so moving to the other side again. Weight coming down into the standing foot. Nice soft knee. Take the arms out to either side and lift the foot up, just as we were in the first position. This time, just see if you can lift that knee up and back without dropping the chest and without rounding the shoulders forward. So keep the chest nice and open, facing ahead. You're looking ahead. You're just starting to lift that leg. So this is quite a nice position. If you struggle a bit with your balance, you like to have having your arms out the side can help. Or if you can't hold on to your foot, it doesn't mean that you have to just stay in this position. You can still work in lifting that knee, getting that nice position, and release. Okay, so we're going to go back to the first side. So some of you will already have got to the position that you want to work on this morning. That may be just standing with the fingers on the wall and the foot off the floor. It may be with the arms out slightly and start to lift that knee. For those of you who can hold on to the foot with the hand, we're going to work with it next. So remember, just if this is what suits you this morning. So again, holding on to the foot. The next thing you want to think about is starting to lift that knee up without completely dropping the upper body forward. So try and keep nice and upright. It'll come forward a little bit, and you can take, if you can, stretch that other hand out. So you're really lifting, lifting, lifting. Keep the hip away and the foot away from the hip. So you bring it up to the hip, but then you take the knee back and really start to lift the foot up towards the ceiling. So you're creating that nice rounded effect rather than have the foot close to the hip. And hold and breathe. And nice and slowly release. So this is a really good stretch for the quads. So if you're a runner, cycler, lots of different sports, you might have very tight muscles here. So you'll really feel this one. It's a very good stretch for those muscles. Moving to the other side, weight coming down into the standing foot, soft in the knee. So you can feel the foot and the mat under the foot. So when you're ready, you can either just lift the foot off the floor, work from there, or if you can hold on to the foot. And again, from there, if you feel you can go a little bit further, start to take the knee back and the foot up towards the ceiling. If you're really comfortable with your balance, you can also stretch that other arm out, so really extend it out, holding and breathing. And nice and slowly take the foot back to that. Okay, so one more round if you balance. So pick whichever of those positions that you prefer and just work in your own time this time. You can come in and out a few times if you want. You can hold for a little bit longer, whatever suits you this morning. So just when you're ready, just get started. Remember, what you want to think about as well is try and make sure you do it nice and evenly on both sides. So don't be tempted to spend too long on your strong side and then just rush through your weaker side. It's very easy to do that. We're all prone to these sort of things. So just be aware of how long you're holding on each side. Remember, whenever you are finished your posture work, you come back to Tadasana. Really lift up through the body, work with the breath. I'm just going to give you a few more minutes just for some of you who might still be holding the position, depending on how deep you've gone into it. Some of you will be able to hold for longer than others. So just continue working with your balance till you get to the end of the sequence you're doing. So hopefully you've all finished with your balance. Remember, if you haven't, just keep going for a few more moments. Doesn't matter, you can always catch up with us. This is the problem with not being in a class with other people. I can't tell where everyone is. Okay, so last week we started working on our standing posture work with Virabhadrasana 1, moving into Virabhadrasana 3, the balance pose. So we're going to work with that again this morning. We're all going to warm up together. And again, there are different stages of doing this work. And you'll possibly get to a stage where you think, right, that's as far as I'm going this morning. So when we go on to the next round and take the positions that you feel most comfortable with this morning for whatever reason. Start with the hands on the hips, feet are hip width apart. We're going to step the right foot forward. So remember, the feet are parallel on the mat, and you're going to keep them that way. Step the right foot forward as far as you can, and the right knee should be bent and above the right ankle, and that should create a stretch through the left calf. So if you can't feel that, you really probably want to step a little bit further forward, or you maybe just need to bend the knee if you haven't got your knee properly bent. You should be able to feel that stretch, but your left heel should still be on the mat. So again, awareness, you should know where that heel is. You should be able to feel the mat beneath your feet. So you want to think about pressing nice and firmly into the mat. And in a moment, we're going to lift our arms. And when you lift your arms, make sure you don't straighten that knee. So you're not lifting up through the hips or the legs. You're keeping pushing down through the legs, down through the hips. You're inhaling, taking the arms out and up, and you're looking up. So from the waist up, you're really lengthening, arching back slightly if you can, and looking up. Try and keep the chest nice and open, so don't close in at the chest. If you find that difficult, sometimes just keeping the arms slightly wider helps. You can push the shoulders back and down, keep the chest nice and open. Either way, we're just going to hold and breathe. The hands back down onto the hips, and then I just want you to think about bringing the weight forward. So you're popping the weight forward so the back foot just comes off the mat. So it's only just off the mat. You've got a nice straight leg, straight foot. So don't flex the foot. Flex the foot. Keep it extended all the way through the toes. You've got a nice straight line with the body. Again, don't let the shoulders come forward and collapse the chest. Keep the shoulders back and down. You've got a nice open chest. You're gazing forward, holding and breathing if you can. Take the toes to the floor if you need to. And then we're just going to bring that left foot past the right, step it forward. So basically you're coming into Virabhadrasana 1 again, but with the left foot forward this time. Again, make sure you can feel the heel, the back heel on the mat. And you've got to stretch through the calf. Your front knee is slightly bent, so it's above the ankle. Push down into the mat. When you're ready, inhale, lift the arms, look up. So you're not lifting up through the legs, you're just lengthening the spine. Hold and breathe. Nice and slowly bring the hands back down to the hips. And the weight forward, pop up onto that front foot. Stretch out the back leg. Nice straight line, make sure the chest's still nice and open. and release. Okay, so coming back to the back of the mat. For some of you, that is the little routine that you're going to work with this morning, and that's great. Remember, it's very good for stretching those calf muscles, get a little bit of balance work in as well. So that's absolutely fine to stay with that this morning. For those of you who want to go a little bit deeper, I want you to turn your left foot out to 45 degrees. Means you can step the right foot further up the mat while still keeping that back foot in contact with the mat. So remember, the outside edge of the foot wants to be in contact with the mat. You don't want to roll onto the instep. The next thing you want to think about is your hips. So you probably find that your hips have come at an angle. You want to push that left hip bone forward, draw the right back. Okay, so your hips are square across the mat. So again, the front knee's bent and above the ankle. Down nice and firmly into the mat. Inhale, lift the arms. And again, we're going to look up. So the upper body position is exactly the same. You're just going a little bit deeper with the lower body, and you're really working through the hips and the legs. And the hands back down onto the hips. Pop the weight forward onto that right foot. Lift the back foot off the mat. So remember, this time, if you're comfortable, you can start to think about that seesaw action. So as the leg comes up, the upper body comes down to you reach that T shape. You really want to work on getting that straight line through the body and the leg. It's quite often the legs down here somewhere and the body's coming towards the floor. You've really got to lift the legs, really work hard, lengthen through the body. Come back to the back of the mat. So we can't just keep walking forward in this one if you've not maybe got so much room when you're at home. So we'll just come back to the back of the mat. Okay, so turn the right foot this time at 45 degrees if you're taking that bigger step. If not, keep the feet parallel. Take your step forward. Make sure that back foot is in contact with the mat. If you've taken the big step, remember the hips, so you're pushing the right hip forward this time, pulling the left hip back to keep the hips square across the mat. Push down nice and firmly into the mat. Inhale, lift the arms, and again, we're going to look up. Exhale, hands to the hips, pop the weight forward onto the front foot, so the back foot pops off the mat. And again, then it's up to you which position you want to take. What you want to think about is keeping the body and the leg in a straight line. So if you're starting to seesaw, you've got to lift the leg at the same rate as you're lowering the body. So you're working towards coming to that T shape. Again, this is where it's good if you can see yourself in the mirror. It's not easy to look in a mirror when you're balancing, or get someone just to take a little picture of you when you're in this position so that you can see exactly where you are, what you need to work on. The other thing you want to think about in the balance as well is not lifting that hip. So when you're in the balance, you're keeping the hips square, you're not rotating the hip up towards the ceiling. Okay, so we're going to do that once more. Again, pick the version you want to do. Don't worry if you have done one version, you think, oh no, I'd rather go back and do the slightly gentler version. That's absolutely fine. So pick your foot position, either feet parallel or 45 degrees for that left foot. Then you're stepping the right foot forward. Make sure your back foot's in contact with the floor. Taking the wider step, make sure those hips are square. Inhale, lift the arms, look up. Hands to the hips. Bring the weight forward. Bring that left foot off the mat. And then it's up to you how far into the balance you want to go. Release. To the other side. Position, turning the left out this time, the right foot out this time at 45 degrees. Step the left foot forward, or just keep the feet parallel if you're not coming to quite such a wide stance. When you're ready, inhale, lift the arms, look up. Hands back to the hips, pop the weight forward, and then working the balance that suits you this morning. Remember, as you lift the leg, try not to let the hip lift as well. So the hips are staying parallel to the floor. Nice and slowly release. Okay, so we're coming down to sitting on the mat now. Those of you who like a block, you can have your block as well. And last week we started to work with forward bends and our front plank or versions of. So I'm going to come down to sitting on your block, legs straight out in front. So remember, staff pose. So we're trying not to slouch back. Lifting up, making sure you're sitting on the sitting bone. Get a nice long spine. Chest open without being puffed. Feel as if you're being drawn up by the crown of the head. So I just want you to sit in staff pose. Really lift up through the spine. Close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. And slowly exhale. And just be aware of the position you're sitting in. So that nice straight line with the back. You're not collapsing back. You're not pushing too far forward either, so you're getting strain in the lower back. It's that nice neutral position, which is how we should always sit, but we very seldom do. Okay, so from there, inhale, take the arms out and up. So maintain that length with the spine. I want you to look towards your ankles, and as you exhale, draw the body forward from the hips, coming forward, 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 forwards, as if you want to get your nose to your ankles. Go as far as you can, and then just relax down over the legs into your forward bend. So we're just going to give you a few moments just to stretch into the forward bend. So really think about drawing the body forward, holding and breathing. And on an inhale, I want you to come all the way back up to sitting and bring the arms back above the head, so you're back in staff pose. This time as you exhale, bring the hands down, just round behind the hips. So you're coming slightly back. The first position you can think about coming into is just half front plank. So you just think about lifting the chest up towards the ceiling, really pushing the shoulders back and down and looking up. So that nice long neck. You're getting a really good stretch across the chest. Those of you who are comfortable, you can lift the hips up as well. So you lift the hips as high as you can. If you get them high enough, you'll find that your toes are touching the mat, so you're into full front plank. Again, we're going to hold and breathe in whichever of those positions suits this morning. Holding, breathing. Nice and slowly, if you've got the hips lifted, bring the hips back to the floor, and then come back up to sitting and bring the arms above the head. So inhale, arms above the head. Exhale, we're going to fold forward, look towards those ankles. Inhale, come back up to sitting. Exhale, bring the arms down, hands behind the hips. And as you inhale, moving into either half front plank or full front plank on the inhale. Exhale, bring the hips back down if they're lifted. Inhale, arms above the head, back into staff pose. Exhale, fold forward, look towards those ankles. Inhale, going to lift back up. Exhale, arms down, hands behind the hips. Inhale into plank. Exhale, release from plank. Inhale, back to sitting. So just keep that going. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sitting up. Exhale, hands down. Inhale into plank. Exhale, release from plank. Inhale, the arms are above the head. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, hands behind. Inhale into plank. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward. Inhale into staff. Exhale, hands behind the hips. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, releasing. Inhale, staff. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, back to staff. Exhale, hands behind the hips. Inhale into plank. Exhale, release from plank. And again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, back to staff. Exhale, arms down. Inhale into plank. Exhale, release. Okay, this time we're going to do one more. We're going to hold in each position. So coming into staff, arms above the head. We're going to hold and breathe. On your next exhale, fold forward from the hips, coming into the forward bend. Again, we're going to relax down into the forward bend, hold and breathe. Inhale, coming back up into staff, arms above the head, hold and breathe, that nice long spine. Nice and slowly take the hands down, around behind the hips. And on your next inhale, we're going to move into plank, front plank, whichever version you prefer this morning. And taking the hips back to the floor. And coming back up. Okay. Now going to move on to our sequence of working with side plank. And remember again, lots of different options depending on what suits you this morning. So we're all going to warm up together with the first version that we do, which is very good for your abdominal muscles and is not too hard work on the arms, because I know some of you that doesn't suit. So remember, you want to think about a line. Some of you I know have a line down the centre of your mat. If you've got one of those mats, it's great for this. Otherwise, just have an imaginary line running all the way down the centre of your mat. I want you to place your right hand on that line, and then your right knee and your right shin and foot run all the way along that line. Straighten out the left leg, and put the left foot onto the mat so that the line's running through the middle of the foot, through the instep. Okay, so once you've done that, that means you've got your alignment for the hand, the legs, and the feet. And you want to think about maintaining that position. So what you'll probably think about wanting to do is taking that right foot back a bit, so you're creating a triangle, the feet and the knees. That's what we don't want to do. We want to bring it back into line, because that way you're going to work those abdominal muscles. So from there, you want to think about rotating the upper body. So lift the shoulder up and tuck your hips under, so that your shoulders are one on top of the other, and so are the hips. So you're really rotating. You can have the hand up onto the hip. So that way you're rotating the upper body. For those of you who are comfortable, you can take that left arm and hand up towards the ceiling, and you can look along that left arm up towards the ceiling. So you'll only be able to do that if you've rotated the body fully. Otherwise, you're going to be sort of cricking your neck trying to see round. You shouldn't have to do that. If you've rotated the chest, you've tucked your hips under, you should be able to look along that arm without putting any pressure on the neck. So remember, if you haven't quite got that far, you don't worry. You can keep the hand on the hip. If you're still working on that rotation, you can just gently bring the shoulder forward, then lift it up, shoulder forward, lift it up, just to start to get into that idea of full rotation when you're in this version of side plank. I just want you to bring your left hand back down onto the mat, and I just want you to have a look along your mat and see if your hand, your knee, and your feet are still in line. If they're not, be aware of that. Maybe just move them slightly again, just so that you know where you're going wrong. Okay, so we're going to move on to the opposite side. So this time you want to bring your left hand onto the line. Left knee, left shin runs along the line all the way down to the toes. Straighten the right leg. Put the foot on the mat so that your left toes are pointing to the instep. So the line's running through the instep of that foot. So again, just want to think then about rotating the upper body. Tuck the hips under. So really tuck under, pull up through that pelvic floor, rotate the upper body, bring the hand up onto the hips. That's the first position. So remember, for those of you who are struggling with that, struggling to get that rotation, just work and just dipping and lifting that right shoulder, just to give you an idea of that rotation as you move around. For those of you who are comfortable, lift that right arm up towards the ceiling and gaze along the arm up towards the ceiling. So make sure that rotation's full, your chest's fully rotated, so your shoulders are basically stacked one on top of the other, so that you can look directly along that arm, and you're tucking your glutes under, engaging those abdominal muscles. And again, just bring that hand nice and slowly back to the floor and have a look at your leg and foot position. Make sure you're still running along that line. And if it's come out of line, then that means you're aware of that now. And the next time you work on this sequence, you can just work with keeping it in line. Okay, so we've got time to do another round of those side planks. So for probably most of you, that'll be the version you're doing. For those of you who are quite happy with your upper body strength, you can think about doing full side plank. So remember, for it, again, the right hand's on the mat. This time you're stretching out both legs, keep the hip high, lift the left arm, and again, you should be able to look along that left hand up towards the ceiling. So full side plank if you can. Otherwise, stay with that version that we've just been working on. Remember, depending on which version you're working on might depend how long you can hold it as well. So just hold for as long as you're comfortable. And then when you're ready, you move on to the other side and try and make sure you hold the other side for the same length of time. Again, holding on each side for the same length of time, just continue. If you're still holding, don't worry that I've come out. Just going to give you a few more moments just to make sure, try and make sure everyone's finished again. The issue without having you all in front of me in the class, I can't see who's doing what. Okay, so if you haven't already finished, just thinking about finishing off now. And we want to finish our posture work, the main posture work anyway, with an inversion. Remember, it's really good to try and do inversions as often as possible. It's really good for the heart, gives it a little bit of a rest because the blood's naturally running down towards the brain then, because it spends all day making sure the brain gets enough oxygen through the blood. Okay, so last week we were doing down facing dog. We'd moved on from moving from flying cat and down facing dog and three-legged dog and all sorts of things, to just doing some holding in down facing dog. I'm going to try and do 2 or 3 rounds today. All of you might not want to do as much as that. We're going to start off with half down facing dog. So remember, you can always just work with half down facing dog, not full down facing dog. If at some point you think, no, I've done enough of this morning, I just want you to lie on your front on the mat and just have a little rest for a few moments till everyone else is finished. Okay, so we're all going to start with half down facing dog first of all. So if you come onto all fours, remember you want to keep those hips above the knees. So don't take the hips back or draw them forward. Keep them just above the knees. Hold them in that position as you take your forehead down onto the mat, and it should feel as if the hips are being pushed up towards the ceiling. And then if you can, stretch both arms out and just relax through the shoulders and the spine. So the shoulders relax down, the spine drapes down towards the mat. You get a nice stretch through the spine. Okay, so coming back up onto all fours. So again, remember, just go back down into half down facing dog if that's the position that suits you this morning. Otherwise, tuck the toes under. Going to go into full down facing dog. Lift the hips, shoulders away from the wrists, and feel as if you're pushing those hips up towards the ceiling. At the same time, pushing the heels towards the mat. We're going to hold and breathe if you can. Come out if you need to. Nice and slowly. If you're in full plank, bring the knees back to the mat. Nice deep breath in. And if you can, on the exhale, we're going to move back into down facing dog. Again, hold and breathe if you can. Knees to the floor if you need to. Again, nice and slowly. Knees back to the floor. Nice deep breath in. We're going to do one more round for those if you feel you can. If you feel you've already done enough, then as I say, just lie on your front on the mat and just have a little rest for a few breaths. Otherwise, tuck the toes, lift the hips, down facing dog. nice and slowly, knees back to the mat if you haven't already done so. And just relax for a minute. Okay. So just to finish the class, we're going to do some stretches, just lying on your back on the mat, just to ease out any tension that might have built up. So when you're ready, I want you to lie on your back on the mat. I want you to take your arms out to either side and bend the knees and bring the feet as close to the hips as you can. Okay, so just going to do some spinal twists first of all. So as you exhale, I want you to lower your knees to the right and look to the left. Try and keep the shoulders on the mat and the arms on the mat. Inhale, bring the knees back to center. And on your next exhale, lower the knees to the left and look to the right. So you're getting into that spinal twist position. Inhale, knees back to center. Exhale, lower the knees to the right and look to the left. So nice and gentle. Inhale, knees back to center. Exhale, lower the knees to the left, look to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, knees to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, knees to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, knees to the right. So remember, it's nice and gentle. We're just easing off. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, knees to the left. And inhale, bring the knees back to center. This time I just want you to draw the knees into the chest, wrap the arms around the shins, and you can just gently rock from side to side for a few moments, just giving the back a little bit of a massage. We're just going to finish off the class in that position this morning. So just nice and gently rolling. And then just when you're ready, think about coming back up to sitting. Okay, bring the palms together. Namaste. Thank you for joining the class again this morning. And remember again, it's really nice to hear from you. Let me know that you've been joining the class. If you've got any comments to make, that's always good. So that's us at the end of May already. Hopefully, possibly by next week, we might have a little bit more freedom. You never know, but it'll be a while, I think, before we can start yoga classes again, where we meet on a Wednesday morning. So the idea is I'll do another 3 weeks of classes, and then we'll have our usual summer break, and surely by the beginning of September we should all be able to meet up again on a Wednesday morning. So if next week we'll probably go over what we've been doing for the last 2 weeks, maybe take it slightly further in some cases. But over the next 3 weeks, if there's anything anybody would particularly like me to cover before we finish for the summer, then just let me know, and I will bring it in at some point over the next 3 weeks. Okay, but for now, thank you for joining, and hope to see you again next week.